How's it going? After being away for 2 months, I got back to working on this FPS game, and I've got a few new things to show, so let's get right into it. Last time we ended off with getting wall running working, except that was only half true. Although there were a few issues, the main one was the inconsistent speed of wall running, which was affected by the angle that the player faces when approaching the wall. I did manage to adjust it by finding the point of contact with the wall, then finding the normal of the point, and then calculating the cross between the normal and the y-axis to get the parallel direction, and then checking the vector with the player's direction in case it needs flipping. But anyways, that's wall running sorted. While playing around, I accidentally found a cool mechanic when attempting to wall run around a corner. Maybe I can design a level around it at some point. One more movement feature that I added to the game was the ability to climb walls, so there's a bit more flexibility with what you can do. Last time I said there was no reason to faceplant a wall, but I guess that's now changed. I did experiment with how to show when the player is climbing, since I haven't created a climbing animation. After all, the player doesn't even have a body, so it would be strange if arms started growing out of nowhere. First I tried removing the crosshair, and then tried removing the gun, but neither of them looked good. So that's when I settled on lerping the gun position back, which also gave a nice animation anyways. Apart from that, I managed to get wall climbing working first try, which I don't know how to feel about. Well, that's enough with movement. Time to start making this more like a game, starting with the main menu scene. Oh, the built-in scene comes with a light and a skybox. Heck yeah, free background. Can't forget about the quit to desktop button. Or is it exit to desktop? Not that it matters, since it doesn't work anyways. Also, what do I name this game? Well, having an actual game might help. Let's get started on the game mode, starting with free play. Just got to rename the scene to free play, and wow, that's already one game mode complete. I'm so productive. Oh, I forgot about that bug. I was supposed to fix that last time. It's probably a quick fix since it works on the first launch and only breaks on the second, but no matter what I tried, I just couldn't get it to work. That was until I randomly closed the menu instead of restarting. Yep, all this time the game was just paused from the last time I quit or refreshed, and I just forgot to resume it again. I spent 2 hours debugging and refactoring multiple classes just to find out that the issue is just one line of code, if you'd even call it that. At least it's still working now. Since free play is working again, we're going on to the next game mode, which I'll be calling Target Rush. Starting with the classic copy and paste, rename the scene, and change up the terrain for the new level. While I was at it, I found out what was causing the strange blue tint in my scenes that I discovered in the last devlog. It seems to be this real-time shadow colour in the rendering settings. So I set the colour to white and then regenerated the lighting, which worked, but then I realised it also works with the colour it was set to before. So the issue was just that the lighting needed regenerating. And now I want to know whether the default shadow colour was supposed to be white or blue, or something else. At least the materials now appear as the right colour in the scenes. Afterwards I created a symmetrical level layout and optimised the number of colliders in the scene, almost halving the number from 211 to 128 colliders. Which, by the way, the ideal number is just one collider if possible, but that's a skill issue on my end. Next is creating the spawn points for the targets around the map. Whilst looking at it from above, I found you could play connect the dots. See, if you look closely, here's a heart, from me to your mum. Anyways, what I've done so far is just recreate the free play game mode in a new environment. However, the floor is shiny, and that means it's new and not lazy. Okay, let's actually make this into its own game mode. First, I changed the spawner, so only 3 random targets appear at a time, with each one having a smoke particle system as a waypoint, so you don't spend 5 minutes searching for them. After destroying all 3, a new set of targets spawn in, although they're not supposed to spawn in there. It's spawning at the origin, which happens to be where the spawner object is positioned, rather than its spawn point children. Found the cause. This get components and children function is for some reason including the parent position in the list of potential spawn points, even though it's not a child. If that's the case, shouldn't it be called get components and children as well as the parent? Anyways, after fixing that and hooking it up with the main menu, I added a timer and a score, so the name Target Rush actually makes sense now. Each set of 3 targets destroyed is +1 score, and if the timer runs out, your run is reset. Since the score was simple enough to implement, surely it would be the same for adding a high score. Except I tried to be smart and decided to make a new central save structure for all the player settings, and that broke the scene. Okay, it should be fixed now. Never mind, the score isn't working. Please go up. Okay, I take it back. That's too many points. I don't think this is supposed to happen either. Can't say that was a fun 3 hours of fixing. For those curious, it was caused by a null pointer exception. Of course it was. But now it's working. I also added a reset button for the high score and fixed a few new bugs. One of them was the player's head glitching into the ceiling, and another was getting stuck when climbing at a specific location. The last bug was rubber banding when walking off a ledge, which also happens to be at the same location. So instead of dealing with the troublesome location, I deployed anti-stuck and ceiling countermeasures and amended the wall detection validation, so climbing and falling off ledges are now more smoother. Lastly, for this game mode, I made the timer turn red when there's less than 3 seconds remaining. And that's all for this scene. Next, let's add some fun features. What's an FPS game without a 360 no-scope? So that's what I'm adding. I mean, we don't have a scope, so we're already halfway there. Just add the 360, simple. And then it takes me half a day to get it working, half the time. I could have made another game mode in the time it took me to check if the player spun around in a circle. At least I finally used a queue for the first time since computer science 3 years ago. The code is pretty scuffed and barely works, but it's something. Anyways, you may be wondering, do you get extra points for landing a 360? Well, no, but I did make it an Easter egg for switching the day cycle. Throw back to the dark mode bug. Definitely didn't spend half an hour trying to figure out why it wasn't working, all because I forgot to drag a material into the slot I made. Well, now if you get bored of one skybox, you can switch to the other. It also works in the free play mode, which now that I'm playing this mode again, the random terrain actually seems to suit the movement mechanics better than the target rush scene, which was specifically designed for the new movement. Oh well, that's my Easter egg complete. Okay, I guess I'll have to add another. The problem is, I can't remember the exact code which had the bug, so I had to try recreate it. I spent 2 nights on this toggle. You're welcome, bud. To be fair, most of the time was spent trying to make it look nice, such as not having the gun hide behind the player half the time. This side-to-side movement was made with a little trigonometry. Yeah, that triangle thing you thought you'd never have to use after school. Oh, and I'm too lazy to add a left-handed mode, so this is the closest you're gonna get to having one. You can also control the distance with the scroll wheel, so it's more like the original bug, and rain justice from above. I was wondering what to do with the ADS in this mode, but then I realised you can basically summon the gun like you're 4, and that's pretty cool. Also, just ignore the broken recoil, it's part of the aesthetic. Honestly, I think I've spent most of my time working on these Easter eggs. I should have saved this video for next April. 2 devlogs in, and I'm already relying on Easter eggs for content. Well, almost. I still have one more thing to show. Time to add in a new control to spice things up. Crouching. So exciting. Press shift to sprint? Nah, press shift to walk. But nobody cares about slow walking. Teabagging is what we all want to see. The actual reason I added this was to add a super jump, so wall climbing doesn't get boring. The actual reason why I added this was to introduce bullet jumping, similar to Warframe, except inferior in every way. But it's still a fun way to travel, giving the player more parkour options, and it brings the game a little closer to a fast-paced movement shooter. It also shines in the target rush mode, since you can get to targets faster, and in different ways too. But that's all the progress on the game so far. Don't worry, I haven't run out of ideas just yet, but feel free to leave some ideas in the comments, you know, just in case. My plan for the next devlog is to polish up some of the new mechanics, and add in a new game mode too. Wait, isn't that what I've just done? Anyways, you'll see when we get there, whenever that is. And this has been 18 minutes of me turning this into this. Thanks for watching.